Across the slow breath of the night, a voice begins to stir. Not one that can be heard, but one that can be felt, deep within the quiet chambers of the mind. It speaks in rhythm with the stars, soft and ancient, as though the universe itself remembers something humanity has long forgotten. The story that follows is not simply history, nor legend, nor myth. It is a journey through time, consciousness, and the luminous mystery of creation. A path that begins with an emerald stone said to hold the wisdom of the gods. Those who have heard of the emerald tablets describe them as relics older than civilization itself, written by a being whose existence blurs the line between divinity and man. Thoth, the Atlantean. In the distant echoes of antiquity, he was said to have inscribed the laws of the cosmos upon shimmering green crystal, forging words that carried vibration, words that could awaken those who listened. These tablets, unbreakable and imperishable, were believed to contain the architecture of reality itself, the code by which spirit weaves matter into life. Across millennia, their legend drifted from the fallen towers of Atlantis to the golden sands of Egypt. Priests whispered their verses during night-long vigils, alchemists searched for them beneath ruins, and philosophers claimed that within their words lay the secret of immortality. Each generation caught fragments, a symbol here, a phrase there, yet the deeper meaning remained hidden, as if waiting for a time when humanity would again be ready to hear. Imagine standing in a dim chamber beneath the desert, torchlight flickering over emerald surfaces etched with lines that shimmer like stars trapped in stone. The air hums faintly, as though the tablets themselves breathe. You reach out, not to touch, but to listen, and the vibration that moves through the air is not sound, but memory. It tells of worlds that rose and fell before history began, of knowledge that shaped the cosmos, of an eternal consciousness that never sleeps. The emerald tablets are said to be keys rather than scriptures, designed not merely to inform but to transform. To read them with an open heart is to awaken something dormant, a spark that connects the human spirit to the vast intelligence of creation. Whether taken as myth or as mystery, their allure lies in what they promise. That within the silence of our own awareness lies the same wisdom that once burned upon the green stone. If stories of lost civilizations, hidden knowledge, and the light within ancient mystery awaken your imagination, stay with this journey. Let these whispers guide you deeper into forgotten realms and timeless truths. And if you enjoy traveling through such legends brought to life, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Every voice, every reflection, helps keep the ancient flame alive. Beneath the quiet rhythm of the tides, where the ocean's pulse beats against the hidden bones of the earth, legends speak of a city swallowed by the deep. Atlantis, a name that echoes like distant thunder across millennia, not merely a myth, but a memory etched into humanity's collective dream. Its towers were said to shimmer with metals unknown to our age, their surfaces alive with light that pulsed in harmony with the sun. Streets paved with crystal reflected the heavens, and great domes of gold and orichalcum rose above tranquil gardens, fed by channels of pure energy. The air itself was alive, humming with a subtle vibration that nourished both body and spirit. People of that realm lived not in separation from the forces of creation, but in conversation with them. They knew how to draw life from the ether, to shape matter with focused intention, to heal through sound and color. Their science was a reflection of their spirituality, not a rebellion against it. Every stone, every temple was tuned like an instrument to the greater symphony of the cosmos. They understood that power without balance would turn upon its creator, so the keepers of the sacred law watched closely, ensuring harmony between the seen and the unseen. Thoth walked among these luminous halls as a guide and teacher, revered not for authority but for wisdom that radiated from his calm presence. His eyes carried the reflection of ages long before Atlantis, hinting that his knowledge did not originate there but from realms beyond the stars. He spoke of cycles within cycles, of how civilizations rise, reach their zenith, and fall back into silence, only to return again when the rhythm of time allows. His words were both prophecy and remembrance, for he sensed the tremors that would soon shake the foundation of their world. As Atlantis grew in pride and mastery, a subtle discord began to hum beneath its perfection. Desire for dominion over nature replaced reverence for its balance. Towers once built to honor the divine were turned toward the manipulation of celestial forces. The Atlanteans, gifted with powers that could shape storms and summon light, began to believe themselves invincible. Even the oceans seemed obedient to their will until the harmony that bound the elements began to fracture. Thoth warned the High Council that the resonance of their world was shifting. He spoke of distortions in the field of energy that surrounded their land, ripples that foretold imbalance. Yet the rulers, drunk with their own brilliance, dismissed his caution as fear. They sought greater control, deeper power, not understanding that creation resists possession. When the tone of their civilization fell out of alignment with the universal chord, nature answered with a force that no machine or spell could contain. The sea rose not in anger, but in balance, reclaiming what had strayed too far from harmony. Lightning tore through the skies, and the ground trembled as if the planet itself cried out. In the final days, the crystal towers dimmed, and the great temples fell silent. Thoth, watching from the sanctum of wisdom, knew the time had come to preserve what could be saved. He gathered the scrolls, the symbols, and the living records of their science, and encoded them within a new form, imperishable, unbreakable, beyond decay. Carrying this burden of light, he and his chosen followers fled toward lands untouched by the cataclysm. Across deserts of shifting wind and through gates of flame, they journeyed until they reached a place where stars mirrored perfectly upon the earth, the land that would one day be called Egypt. There, beneath sacred sands, Thoth buried the essence of Atlantis within chambers that would outlast the turning of ages. The emerald tablets were born not as relics of stone, but as vessels of vibration, preserving the song of a civilization that refused to be forgotten. As the ocean settled above the ruins, silence reclaimed the once radiant world. Yet within that silence, the pulse of Atlantis did not die. It became memory, myth, and dream, awaiting the awakening of those who could still hear its rhythm in the whisper of the waves. Wanderer of worlds, keeper of hidden light, Thoth's name weaves through the records of many lands under countless forms. To the Atlanteans, he was the architect of sacred knowledge, guardian of the cosmic laws that bind the visible and invisible realms. To the Egyptians, he became Jehuti, the moon-faced god of writing, wisdom, and magic, the scribe who measured the heavens and recorded the will of the divine. In both stories, he stands as the same eternal presence, unchanged by time, yet ever adapting to the language of each civilization that remembered him. Ancient carvings depict him as a man with the head of an ibis, a bird that bends its beak like a crescent, mirroring the arc of the moon. The symbol was no mere artistic choice. The ibis represented balance, precision, and the ability to navigate the shifting currents between worlds. Thoth's connection to the moon reflected his dominion over cycles, birth, death, renewal, and the endless dance of opposites that maintain the order of creation. Through him, knowledge flowed like lunar light upon dark waters, illuminating what lay hidden beneath the surface. Legends speak of his voice as a vibration that could awaken matter into form. Words, to Thoth, were not symbols, but living forces. Each sound carried frequency, each syllable shaped energy. Writing, he taught, was the act of translating divine thought into structure, of giving shape to the unseen. His hieroglyphs were not invented but revealed, as if the universe itself dictated them through his hand. The scribe's art became the bridge between mortal perception and eternal truth. His followers told of how he could appear and vanish at will, moving through the veils of time as easily as one might walk through a door. He spoke of remembering every life he had lived, every civilization he had guided. Death, he said, was but a passage from one chamber of consciousness to another. Those who stood in his presence felt the weight of infinite memory behind his calm gaze, as if he had watched the stars themselves being born. When Egypt rose from the sands, Thoth shaped its mysteries with quiet precision. He taught the priests the patterns of the heavens, the art of measuring time, and the science of balancing energies within the temples. The Great Pyramid, aligned with the stars, echoed his principles of harmony, geometry as the reflection of cosmic truth. He inscribed his wisdom not only upon stone, but within the structure of ritual, myth, and sacred story, ensuring that the essence of Atlantis would continue beneath new symbols. To those who sought immortality, Thoth did not promise endless flesh but awakened perception. He taught that the soul, when purified of ignorance, can travel beyond the cycles of death and birth, retaining awareness through eternity. The tablets he left behind were designed to guide the seeker toward that realization, not through worship, but through remembrance of what has always been within. Even as centuries turned, his image persisted. Greek philosophers called him Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice great master who united philosophy, alchemy, and spiritual science. Under that name, his teachings would later shape the Hermetic tradition, echoing through secret schools and mystical orders. Each age translated his wisdom into its own language, yet the source remained the same. Thoth, the immortal consciousness that bridges all eras. Whispers say he never departed this world completely. In hidden realms beneath the earth or within higher planes of light, he continues his work, recording every breath of creation upon the living scrolls of eternity. The emerald tablets were his most profound gift, a condensation of everything he had ever known, written not for one people, but for all who would one day remember their own divine origin. From his hand, the tablets emerged as more than sacred text. They became a mirror through which creation could know itself. Within their polished green surface, the secrets of life and cosmos shimmered, awaiting those with eyes that could see beyond words. Emerald light flickers within the imagination like a distant star seen through mist, alive yet elusive. The tablets, according to legend, are not mere objects of study but living instruments, attuned to the frequency of the universe itself. Each surface, smooth as flowing water, reflects symbols that shift with perception, revealing new meanings to each who gazes upon them. To approach them is to stand before a mirror that does not show the face, but the essence behind it. Every inscription carved upon their radiant surface speaks in layered tongues, geometry, vibration, and thought interwoven into a single language of creation. Those who meditate upon the patterns claim to feel their consciousness expand, as if drawn outward into the vastness of the stars. The tablets teach that all forms are expressions of one infinite energy, and that within each being lies the spark of that same origin. To read their message is to remember the song of existence itself, the rhythm that holds galaxies together. Mystics have long believed that the tablets were designed not simply to be read, but to be felt. Their words operate like frequencies, aligning the inner self with the harmony of cosmic law. Each line holds a tone, each symbol a pulse that resonates through the soul. Those attuned to it experience visions of swirling light or hear faint harmonies echoing from within their chest. The tablets, in this sense, function as instruments of transformation, tuning human awareness to the pitch of eternity. The wisdom they carry is said to describe the fabric of reality as a vast interplay between light and consciousness. Creation, they whisper, unfolds from a single luminous source, dividing itself into form and matter, only to return again to unity. Every thought, every action sends ripples across that infinite field. The tablets reveal that existence is not a random chaos, but a precise design, guided by invisible currents of intention. To understand those currents is to become a co-creator, shaping life in harmony with the universal flow. Ancient seekers approached the tablets not as scholars but as initiates. Before touching the stone, they purified the mind through silence, emptied the heart of desire, and aligned the body with the rhythm of breath. Only in stillness could the inscriptions reveal their deeper layers. To the unprepared, the writing remained lifeless symbols, but to the awakened, they became portals, windows through which the infinite looked back. The green of the emerald held meaning beyond beauty. It symbolized renewal, balance, and the life force that bridges matter and spirit. Alchemists later called it the color of transformation, the hue of awakening. Within that shimmering surface, the cosmos seemed to fold inward, as if the entire universe could be contained within a single gem. Those who beheld it felt that space and time dissolved, leaving only the awareness of a boundless now. Through the centuries, echoes of the tablets' words inspired countless interpretations. Some saw them as manuals of alchemy, others as spiritual maps of the soul. Yet beneath every translation lay the same pulse, the message that creation mirrors consciousness. To change the world, one must first change the inner vibration. The emerald tablets do not preach, they resonate, drawing each seeker into their own reflection until the boundary between the reader and the cosmos disappears. Wherever they rest, whether buried beneath ancient sands or veiled within higher dimensions, their essence remains active. Every thought aligned with truth, every act born of harmony, brings their wisdom closer to the surface of human awareness. The mirror they hold up to existence still gleams, waiting for those ready to see themselves not as fragments, but as reflections of the infinite. Beneath the sands of an older world, where golden dunes shift like sleeping serpents under the moon, lies a realm beyond the boundaries of mortal perception. Legends call it the Halls of Amenti, the hidden heart of the earth, a sanctuary of eternal light. To reach this place, one must travel not by distance but by vibration, descending through the layers of existence as one might pass through the folds of a dream. Thoth, the immortal scribe, ventured into these depths long ago, guided by a resonance only he could hear, a call that emanated from the core of creation itself. Ancient initiates described the entrance as a passage concealed beneath the temples of the Nile, sealed by energy rather than stone. Those who approached could feel the ground pulse faintly beneath their feet, as if the planet breathed beneath them. Within that hidden threshold, time dissolved into stillness. Air shimmered like liquid light, and a vast corridor opened, carved not by human hands, but by forces that predated civilization. Along the walls, glowing sigils pulsed in rhythm with unseen stars, forming patterns that mirrored the constellations above. In those luminous depths, Thoth encountered chambers that seemed to stretch beyond physical limits, each filled with radiant forms that hovered between substance and thought. They were the keepers of Amenti, beings of pure consciousness who watched over the cycles of birth and transformation. Their presence was both silence and sound, both motion and stillness. To stand before them was to feel one's entire being laid bare, every secret illuminated by their gaze. Thoth learned that Amenti was not a tomb, as later ages would believe, but a temple of renewal. It existed at the point where matter touches spirit, where souls shed the weight of form before ascending once more. Within its chambers, light flowed like rivers, weaving patterns of geometry that encoded the essence of life itself. Each pattern represented a law of existence, and by observing them, Thoth understood how creation maintains its rhythm. Death not as an ending, but as a transition within the eternal pulse of being. He was shown vast halls where luminous orbs drifted like stars within the earth, each containing the consciousness of ancient masters. Their bodies rested in suspended animation, preserved not by magic, but by the perfect balance of energy and intention. Thoth entered this sleep willingly, learning to slow the heartbeat of his form until it aligned with the pulse of the planet. In this stillness, he transcended mortality, awakening to the realization that life continues beyond the shell of flesh. Through the guidance of the keepers, Thoth gained mastery over the cycles of incarnation. He learned to project his awareness into other bodies, to live through different ages while maintaining memory of all before. This gift was not granted as privilege, but earned through surrender to universal law. The tablets later spoke of this power, teaching that consciousness, when purified of fear and attachment, becomes limitless. Within Amenti, Thoth's essence merged with the Earth's heartbeat, anchoring his presence through ages of human history. Pilgrims who claimed to have glimpsed Amenti in visions described colors that human eyes cannot name, sounds that carry feeling instead of tone. They spoke of stairways formed from pure energy, rising into fields of radiance where no shadow could exist. To reach such a place required not courage alone, but purity of thought, for the halls revealed whatever one carried within. Those who entered with greed or doubt found themselves lost in endless mirrors, reflections of their own unhealed desires. Thoth emerged from the depths transformed, carrying within him the memory of eternity. The tablets he would later inscribe were born from that luminous journey. Each line encoded the geometry of those halls, each word a frequency drawn from the heart of Amenti. Through them, he offered humanity a map to the same awakening, a path not of physical descent, but of inward expansion. Silence holds a secret language that cannot be written or spoken, a communication made of vibration and color. Thoth called it the language of light, the pure resonance through which existence expresses its will. Every form, from the smallest crystal to the brightest star, hums with this invisible frequency. When the heart grows quiet enough to listen, the universe begins to speak. He taught that all sound carries structure, and every word is a pattern of energy. The ancient symbols on the tablets were more than marks of ink or chisel. They were harmonics, each designed to tune the reader's consciousness to a higher octave. When read with understanding, they generate waves that align mind and spirit with cosmic order. To Thoth, enlightenment was not the accumulation of knowledge, but the tuning of the soul to the song of creation. Ancient initiates believed that light and sound were twin expressions of the same essence. Temples built under Thoth's guidance were shaped according to harmonic ratios, their walls designed to amplify vibration. When chants filled those sacred chambers, the stones themselves began to sing, echoing the tones of the heavens. Within that resonance, participants experienced visions of spiraling energy, fractal forms that revealed the unity between the physical and the divine. Modern thinkers would later call it sacred geometry. Yet for Thoth and his students, it was a living science. Every angle, every proportion, represented a note in the universal chord. To speak the language of light was to command creation not through domination, but harmony. Thought shaped energy. Energy shaped matter. Matter returned to thought, completing the eternal cycle. The tablets describe this dance as the foundation of existence, a law as constant as gravity, yet infinitely more subtle. Those who meditated upon the inscriptions reported sensations of weightlessness, as if the boundaries of the body dissolved into light. Their breathing slowed until they felt surrounded by a pulse that was not their own, yet intimately familiar. Through this experience, seekers understood that true knowledge cannot be contained in words but transmitted through vibration. The tablets were not meant to be studied as texts, but to be lived as frequencies. Color, too, played its role in this luminous language. Green for balance, blue for wisdom, gold for illumination. Each hue carried a distinct vibration that could alter consciousness. When light passed through crystals carved with the symbols of Thoth, it refracted into patterns that mirrored the geometry of the stars. The ancients used this interplay of color and sound as medicine for the soul, restoring harmony where imbalance had taken root. To speak or think in alignment with light meant to participate in creation consciously. Every thought became a note, every emotion a color, contributing to the great symphony of existence. Thoth's teachings revealed that humanity had forgotten this ability, drowning in noise and confusion. Yet within each person, the original instrument still waits. The heart, capable of resonating with the divine tone once more. Through the language of light, seekers rediscover that they are not separate from the cosmos but part of its melody. The tablets serve as reminders that the voice of the universe never ceased. It merely waits for ears that can hear beyond words. From this understanding, Thoth's writings transition toward another revelation. The presence of the seven lords, guardians of the cosmic laws that sustain all creation. In the depths of the tablets, Thoth spoke of luminous beings who govern the great cycles of existence, the seven lords of light, keepers of cosmic balance. Each presides over a principle that shapes both the seen and unseen worlds, embodying the forces through which creation maintains its rhythm. Their presence is not mythic, but archetypal, existing within every aspect of nature and every heartbeat of humanity. The First Lord embodies order, the divine structure that underlies all manifestation. Through him, galaxies spiral, seasons turn, and atoms remain bound in their dance. His essence is geometry itself, the invisible grid upon which matter rests. To align with his law is to find stability in the midst of chaos, to act in harmony with the patterns that sustain life. The Second Lord holds the vibration of balance, maintaining equilibrium between expansion and contraction, light and shadow, birth and decay. His influence reminds every soul that nothing may grow without contrast. In his realm, both darkness and illumination serve the same purpose, the evolution of awareness. Those who attune to his energy learn to walk between extremes, untouched by either, yet enriched by both. The Third Lord governs motion, the eternal flow that keeps creation alive. He is the current that moves through stars, the pulse that drives blood through veins, the rhythm that makes thought become action. Through his law, stagnation dissolves, and transformation becomes possible. Those who invoke his presence feel vitality return, for motion is the signature of life itself. The Fourth Lord resonates with creation, the impulse that brings possibility into form. His domain is imagination, vision, and the spark that ignites new worlds. Within him lies the secret of manifestation, that thought, when harmonized with intent, reshapes reality. To understand his principle is to wield the creative force responsibly, for every idea planted in the soil of consciousness bears fruit. The fifth Lord is renewal, the healer of all cycles. Through him decay becomes rebirth, endings turn to beginnings. He governs the alchemy of transformation, teaching that destruction is never loss, but liberation of energy. His vibration restores vitality to what has withered, both in nature and in the spirit. Those who embrace his current learn to trust the flow of change, finding peace within its inevitability. The sixth Lord embodies wisdom, the clarity that arises from understanding. His light reveals the hidden threads connecting every event, showing how destiny and choice weave together. Under his guidance, knowledge transforms into insight, and intellect bows to intuition. To commune with him is to see through illusion, perceiving life as a single, unfolding consciousness. The seventh Lord represents unity, the culmination of all others. He holds the memory of the source, the awareness that all forms are expressions of one eternal essence. In his radiance, duality dissolves and separation fades into remembrance of oneness. Those who awaken his presence within become living reflections of the divine, embodying harmony not through effort but through being. Thoth wrote that these lords dwell both within the halls of Amenti and within the human spirit. They are not distant deities, but aspects of the higher self, waiting to be recognized. When their vibrations are balanced within, life aligns effortlessly with cosmic rhythm. Each human being, he said, carries the seed of these seven forces, and through conscious awakening can become a living tablet of wisdom. As their harmony resounds through the soul, thought itself becomes creative light, bridging spirit and matter. From their guidance emerges the understanding that every mind possesses the power to shape reality, a truth that leads into Thoth's next revelation, the secret strength of human thought and its role in the making of worlds. Every world that ever existed began as an idea. Before matter condensed, before stars ignited, thought stirred within the void and whispered form into being. Thoth taught that the mind is not a shadow of reality, but its architect. Every thought, no matter how faint, carries vibration, and vibration calls forth manifestation. Within this realization lies one of the tablet's greatest mysteries, that creation unfolds not from the hands of gods, but from the focus of consciousness itself. Thoth described thought as living fire, invisible yet potent, capable of shaping substance as surely as the sculptor's hand molds clay. When concentrated and pure, it bends the fabric of reality, aligning unseen forces into tangible expression. Ancient students of his wisdom learned that the world responds to the direction of mind, just as metal responds to a magnetic field. To think is to command, though few realize the depth of their command. He warned that thought is never idle. Every emotion, every word silently repeated, becomes a seed within the field of existence. The human mind, untrained and scattered, sows chaos without awareness, yet the disciplined thinker turns this chaos into harmony. By mastering focus, one ceases to be a passive observer and becomes a deliberate creator. The tablets teach that reality is not fixed, but fluid, molded each moment by the collective imagination of all beings. Those who learned under Thoth practiced stillness before forming intention. They calmed the waves of emotion until clarity replaced confusion. From that stillness, they projected thought like a beam of light into the unseen realm, watching as events began to align around their inner image. Such practices were not superstition, but science, for Thoth revealed that every thought vibrates through the lattice of creation, influencing even distant worlds. He spoke of two forms of power, the mind that reacts and the mind that directs. Reaction binds consciousness to circumstance, while direction liberates it. To think deliberately is to remember one's origin as a spark of the divine intellect. When thought rises above fear and desire, it harmonizes with the creative will of the cosmos. Manifestation then becomes effortless, for the thinker and the universe move as one. Ancient adepts would visualize patterns of light forming within their minds, watching how those geometries echoed in their surroundings. They understood that imagination is not illusion, but blueprint. The world reflects back what consciousness holds, and so they guarded their inner world with sacred care. They spoke little, moved with intention, and treated every thought as an offering to creation. Thoth warned that misuse of mental power leads to imbalance. When thought is driven by greed or control, it disrupts the harmony between forces. Energy, once pure, becomes distorted, and the thinker falls under the weight of his own creations. True mastery demands humility, for thought untempered by wisdom burns its wielder. The tablets emphasize that knowledge without balance is perilous, for creation and destruction flow through the same gate. Modern seekers often rediscover this truth in subtle ways. A shift in belief changes emotion. Emotion alters the body influences the outer world. Every thought ripples outward, touching countless forms, weaving unseen threads between all things. Thoth's words remind that nothing is separate, and every moment of awareness contributes to the shaping of reality. He taught that to purify thought is to purify life itself. Through clarity, discipline, and compassion, the mind becomes a mirror of the divine pattern. Within such a mind, chaos finds no home, and the universe reveals its reflection in perfect symmetry. From this understanding arises another of Thoth's revelations, that death is not destruction, but transition, and consciousness endures beyond the veil of form. Beyond the horizon of death lies not silence, but transformation. Thoth spoke of the passage between lives as a crossing through the portal of rebirth, a threshold woven from light and memory. To him, death was not an end, but a reconfiguration of energy, a return to the field from which all things arise. Souls, he said, move like tides, ebbing and flowing between worlds, carrying the essence of their experiences toward higher states of awareness. Those who approached this mystery in the ancient temples were taught to view death not with fear, but with reverence. Within chambers lit by golden flame, initiates meditated on the dissolution of the body, visualizing themselves as points of light floating beyond form. Through such practices, they learn to release attachment, to pass through the threshold consciously rather than by force. Thoth revealed that those who awaken before dying retain full awareness beyond the grave, continuing their journey without confusion. He described the moment of transition as a pulse of energy when the soul sheds its density and awakens in a lighter realm. Time ceases and the individual perceives life as a single tapestry, seeing how each thought and action shape the next. This revelation brings both peace and responsibility, for every soul is the author of its own story. Nothing is lost, nothing forgotten, only transformed. Between incarnations, consciousness rests in spheres of light governed by the lords of balance. There the soul reflects upon its lessons, reviewing what it has created, healed, and yet to master. From that reflection arises the next path, chosen not by external judgment, but by the soul's own desire to evolve. Rebirth becomes an act of love, a return to physical experience for the sake of refinement. Thoth taught that memory of past lives can awaken through resonance. When the vibration of a present life aligns with that of a former one, images surface like reflections upon still water. Such moments are not accidents, but signals that the soul is integrating its fragments. To know one's past is not to cling to it, but to reclaim the wisdom once earned. In his journeys through Amenti, Thoth witnessed the process of rebirth as light spiraling through gateways of energy. He described these portals as geometric vortices, each tuned to the frequency of a particular realm. Souls drawn toward Earth enter through patterns of resonance, aligning with the conditions necessary for their next growth. Birth, therefore, is not random, but guided by the harmony of vibration. For those seeking liberation from the cycle, Thoth offered a higher path, the awakening of full remembrance. When the soul transcends polarity and sees itself as part of the eternal mind, it no longer needs to return. Yet he urged that such freedom should not be sought in haste. Experience, he said, is the purpose of existence, and each lifetime adds color to the spectrum of the soul's light. Mystics later interpreted the portal of rebirth as a symbol of daily transformation. Every dawn becomes a resurrection, every breath a renewal of life's promise. Through awareness, the seeker dies to ignorance and awakens to truth over and over again. Thoth's message endures through this simple rhythm. Life never ceases, only changes form. When the soul comprehends this continuity, fear dissolves. Existence becomes a flowing river rather than a prison of beginnings and endings. The tablets record that through understanding rebirth, humanity learns the secret of compassion. For every being is a traveler on the same journey through the infinite field of creation. From this timeless current, the story flows toward those who protect its wisdom, the guardians who kept Thoth's light alive through the passing of ages. Across the shifting sands of centuries, whispers tell of those who carried Thoth's wisdom in silence. They were known as the guardians of the hidden path, seekers, scribes, and initiates who vowed to preserve the knowledge of the emerald tablets from misuse. While empires rose and crumbled, these keepers moved unseen, weaving their work into temples, mystery schools, and the geometry of sacred art. Their duty was not to possess the wisdom, but to protect its vibration until the world was ready to remember. Legends describe gatherings held beneath the stars, where initiates encircled a single flame symbolizing the eternal mind. Within that circle, teachings were spoken not in words, but through symbols drawn in air and light. Each gesture carried power, each sound awakened resonance within those present. The language of Thoth was not merely taught, but transmitted, passed through generations like a living current. As centuries passed, the outer world forgot what the inner circles preserved. Wars reshaped nations, libraries burned, and idols replaced principles. Yet beneath this surface of loss, the guardians continued their quiet work. They encoded fragments of the tablets into architecture, into the angles of pyramids and cathedrals, into myths that spoke in riddles. To the uninitiated, these symbols were decoration. To those who remembered, they were keys. They understood that sacred knowledge, if exposed too early, could corrupt rather than enlighten. Power without maturity breeds imbalance, and imbalance breeds destruction. So they hid the teachings not through secrecy alone, but through resonance. Only those whose consciousness vibrated in harmony with truth could perceive the deeper meanings. To others, the wisdom remained invisible, as though veiled by light itself. In remote sanctuaries carved into mountains or buried beneath forgotten cities, initiates meditated before emerald crystals that pulsed faintly with energy. Within those halls, they attuned themselves to the rhythm of the tablets, preserving their frequency through chant and silence. Each generation added its vibration to the living current, ensuring that the resonance would never fade from the collective memory of humankind. Stories passed through time of travelers who stumbled upon these keepers, wanderers guided by dreams or strange symbols that appeared in visions. They spoke of eyes that seemed to hold the memory of the stars, of voices that spoke in riddles, yet left the listener transformed. The guardians did not reveal themselves easily. Only those whose hearts were aligned with purpose were allowed to glimpse the threshold of their mystery. Many traditions across the world carry echoes of their influence. The druids who honored the geometry of trees, the sages who meditated upon lotus patterns, the architects who aligned temples with the solstice sun, all carried fragments of Thoth's current, shaped to their own culture. The hidden path is not a single road, but a web of light stretching through every civilization that ever sought truth over power. Over time, legends of the emerald tablets faded into the realm of myth, yet the guardians remained. Their work was not to preserve objects, but to sustain awareness, to keep alive the memory that humanity once walked beside divine intelligence. Through their silent dedication, the current of Thoth's wisdom flowed beneath history like an underground river, unseen yet ever present. Those who feel drawn to the mystery today are responding to that same current. The guardians have never truly vanished. They exist wherever seekers turn inward, guided by intuition rather than dogma. Every soul that rediscovers the path becomes one of them, carrying the vibration forward through thought, word, and deed. As their presence continues through time, the hidden path expands once more toward illumination, leading humanity back toward the emerald light, toward the deeper mysteries of transformation, where stone and soul merge and knowledge returns to its source. Emerald radiance has always been the color of awakening, a hue that bridges the pulse of earth with the clarity of spirit. Across the ages, sages spoke of a living flame hidden within this light, capable of transforming not metals, but the human soul itself. Thoth revealed that the legendary philosopher's stone was never a treasure of the earth, but the reflection of consciousness refined through balance. The emerald glow symbolized the harmony of forces, the reconciliation of opposites, and the birth of wisdom from experience. Ancient adepts described the green ray as the heartbeat of transformation, an invisible current linking mortal and divine. In dim sanctuaries, they meditated beneath green crystals that refracted the light of dawn into a spectrum of shifting fire. Their purpose was not to create gold, but to awaken the inner element that already contained perfection. When the emerald flame rose through the mind and heart together, ignorance melted into understanding, and energy once bound by fear began to flow freely again. Stories tell of those who achieved this union, whose very presence shimmered with an otherworldly calm. Their faces seemed illuminated from within, as if lit by the same radiance that glows in the depths of a jewel. They spoke softly, yet their words carried power enough to heal and inspire. Age touched them lightly, not because they had conquered time, but because they had ceased to fight it. Within them, the dance of creation and stillness moved as one. Thoth wrote that such transformation was not a gift from gods, but the remembrance of what humanity had forgotten. Within every soul lies a spark of the original light, buried beneath layers of confusion. Through patience and devotion, that spark can be fanned into flame. When it burns clear and steady, it becomes the stone itself. The point where consciousness turns transparent and matter obeys the mind's pure rhythm. In temples of Egypt, emerald stones were worn over the heart as living symbols of truth. Priests believed that when sunlight passed through the gem, it revealed the world's unseen pattern, the hidden grid of unity connecting all things. That light was said to be the same energy that moves through stars and veins alike, the pulse that makes both cosmos and soul shine with equal brilliance. As the centuries turned, the sacred color reappeared in alchemical manuscripts, in secret laboratories where seekers chased gold, but found revelation instead. Their furnaces mirrored the heat of inner struggle. Their experiments reflected transformation of self. The true alchemist learned that fire must purify within before it can perfect without. When that lesson was mastered, the search for material transmutation became unnecessary. Emerald light signifies renewal, balance, and peace. It breathes in forests, flickers in morning dew, and stirs within the chest when one stands still long enough to feel life's rhythm. In that quiet harmony, one begins to sense the same intelligence that Thoth described, not above us, but within every heartbeat. Through this realization, the art of alchemy dissolves into a single truth. Awareness is the real crucible, and love is the flame that transforms everything it touches. The stone is no object. It is the awakened state itself, gleaming within the depths of the soul, like the first light of creation waiting to be remembered. From that inner glow, Thoth's wisdom unfolded further, revealing how an entire civilization once lived in resonance with such knowledge. Atlantis, whose mastery over spirit and matter shaped the science of the soul. Long before the rise of Egypt or Sumer, when the sea still whispered around crystalline towers, Atlantis stood as a world where science and spirit walked hand in hand. Knowledge there was not divided between priests and scholars, for all learning began with reverence for life's invisible harmony. Power was never mechanical. It flowed from consciousness itself, tuned to the same frequency as the stars. Thoth, guardian of that wisdom, carried its essence across the waters when the city of light sank beneath the waves. Atlantean masters discovered that sound shaped matter, and that vibration formed the bridge between thought and reality. By directing tone with pure intention, they healed bodies, moved objects, and communed across vast distances without speech. Their laboratories resembled temples, vast halls alive with resonance, where crystal pillars hummed with soft luminescence, amplifying the music of the Earth's own heartbeat. Energy was drawn not from fuel, but from alignment, channeled through geometry and tone. Within this harmony, everything lived longer, moved lighter, shone brighter. Bodies carried light easily, minds absorbed wisdom as naturally as breathing. Children were taught from birth that emotion could bend reality, and that every thought was a seed cast into the garden of the world. With such awareness came responsibility, for imbalance in thought echoed instantly into form. As ages passed, that responsibility dimmed. Curiosity turned to ambition, and the once sacred art of vibration became a weapon of control. Towers of power rose higher, their song turning dissonant against the planetary field. Thoth warned that imbalance within the mind of humanity would one day call forth a cleansing wave. When his counsel was ignored, he prepared to preserve what truth remained, encoding their science into symbols that could outlast both stone and sea. Atlantean understanding of the soul surpassed what later ages could imagine. They viewed each person as a luminous field of sound, layers of energy spiraling around a core of eternal light. Death was understood as a change of tone, not a loss. Through controlled resonance, the soul could travel across realms, re-entering matter at will. Those who mastered this transition could pass through dimensions as freely as one walks through mist. Remnants of that mastery survive in the architecture of later civilizations. The alignment of pyramids with stars, the harmonic ratios of temples, the echoing design of sacred halls. These were echoes of Atlantean science adapted by hands that remembered faintly what had once been known. Stone and sound became the language through which the lost wisdom continued to speak. Thoth taught that the rediscovery of these forces would come only when humanity's heart equaled its intellect. Without compassion, such power brings ruin. With love, it restores creation. He hid the formulas in metaphor, knowing that only those guided by integrity would perceive their true meaning. What appeared to be mystic poetry was, in truth, the physics of the soul disguised in symbol and rhythm. Those who listen deeply to the tablets find the same principles awakening within themselves. Subtle sensations of light and vibration reveal that consciousness is not confined to the body, but extends through the field of creation. Such experiences, whether seen as spiritual or scientific, confirm the ancient truth: awareness shapes reality, and harmony sustains it. Time, Thoth explained, is not a river that flows forward, but an ocean without boundaries, where every moment exists at once. Humanity experiences this vastness as sequence only because perception moves through it like a beam of light, scanning an endless expanse. Beyond that narrow beam lies eternity, a realm that can be entered not by movement, but by stillness. The keys of time were the methods by which consciousness could shift resonance and explore that eternal field. He revealed that time's current is a vibration that bends according to awareness. When thought rises above linear understanding, past and future collapse into a single presence. The ancients used temples as instruments to attune to these frequencies. The Great Pyramid, he wrote, was aligned with the pulse of the planet, not for worship, but to anchor gateways through which trained minds could cross between epochs. Those who practiced this art learned to still all motion within their thoughts. As the internal chatter ceased, the spiral of time unfolded before them, luminous and infinite. They saw that every cause and effect are part of one design, that what is yet to be already exists, awaiting recognition. Through this perception, they could heal the past by understanding it differently, altering the resonance of entire lifetimes. Each soul carries a personal key, a signature vibration that connects it to the greater pattern. When recognized, this tone allows the individual to move freely within their own continuum. Ancient adepts would enter deep meditation, locate that frequency, and shift awareness across lifetimes to retrieve wisdom or release lingering burdens. To them, this was not superstition, but natural law. Thought and time obey the same principle of resonance. Thoth spoke also of the keepers of the temporal gates, luminous intelligences who maintain balance among the countless threads of creation. They guard the harmony of evolution, ensuring that consciousness unfolds according to universal rhythm. Their communication is not verbal, but telepathic, pulses of light carrying entire histories within a single instant. To encounter them required absolute purity of mind, for even a trace of ego disrupted the delicate fabric of their realm. For Thoth, travel through time was never about escaping the present. It was the art of standing at the still point where all timelines converge. From that center, awareness can view existence as a complete pattern, observing every life, every star, every possibility woven into one eternal design. The initiate who reached that point ceased to age, for time no longer held dominion over awareness that transcended it. Echoes of these teachings survive in legends of stargates, sacred numbers, and geometric alignments. The deeper message, however, remains spiritual rather than technological. Mastery over time is mastery over perception. Once the mind withdraws from fear and desire, eternity reveals itself within every heartbeat. When consciousness awakens to this truth, life becomes luminous with presence. The past loses its weight, the future its anxiety, and every breath unfolds as a gateway to the infinite. Time then ceases to imprison, becoming instead a vast mirror reflecting the stillness at the center of all motion, the timeless self that Thoth called immortal. Within the quiet chamber of the heart burns a flame, unseen by physical eyes, a light that predates the stars. Thoth called this the inner sun, the divine spark that lives within every being, a mirror of the great solar fire that breathes life into worlds. When external light fades and all outer certainties crumble, that inner radiance remains, shining with the memory of the source. It is neither metaphor nor imagination, but a reality sensed through stillness, where spirit reveals itself as warmth, brilliance, and knowing. And ancient seekers were taught to journey inward as astronomers of the soul, mapping constellations not across the heavens, but within their own awareness. By withdrawing attention from the shifting illusions of matter, they entered the solar center within, where a vast silence glowed with creative potential. There they felt the heartbeat of the universe pulsing within their own chest, realizing that the same fire that lights the sun moves through human veins. Thoth described this experience as the moment when the individual ceases to seek divinity and remembers being divine. As this awareness deepened, light began to circulate through the body like golden current, rising through the spine in waves of energy. Those who reached that state spoke of a soft radiance surrounding them, illuminating their path without shadow. This light, unlike any earthly flame, did not burn but nourished, bringing calm clarity to the mind and serenity to the heart. Each breath became communion with the cosmic fire, each thought a ray of illumination drawn from the source. Through this awakening, duality began to dissolve. Darkness lost its threat, for it was understood not as evil, but as the womb of potential from which light emerges. To the awakened, day and night became expressions of one eternal pulse, expansion and contraction of the same breath. Thoth's teachings urged seekers to honor both aspects equally, for only through balance could the inner sun remain steady and full. Priests of ancient Egypt aligned temples to mirror this principle. Sunlight entered the sanctuaries at precise moments of the year, igniting golden altars in silent brilliance. Yet beyond the spectacle lay deeper meaning. The outer ceremony mirrored an inner process. Just as the physical sun rose upon the horizon, so too must the inner flame rise within consciousness, dispelling ignorance and revealing the hidden geometry of existence. Those who lived by this light became living suns in human form. Their presence inspired growth and peace wherever they went, for light naturally gives without effort. They did not preach or convert. Their existence itself radiated harmony. Thoth wrote that such beings carry within them the seed of immortality, for awareness rooted in the inner sun cannot perish. Mystics later spoke of the solar body, a field of radiant consciousness woven from the union of heart and mind. Through it one perceives reality as transparent and alive, infused with intelligence. Every sound, every motion reveals a spark of the same fire. When the inner sun blazes fully, perception itself becomes light, seeing not with eyes but through illumination. The tablets remind that awakening this sun requires sincerity rather than complexity. It begins with stillness, gratitude, and the simple act of turning inward. When awareness rests upon the center of the chest, breath slows and a faint warmth begins to rise. With devotion, that warmth grows into brilliance, until the world itself seems lit from within. The seeker then understands what Thoth always knew, that the divine does not dwell in distant heavens, but within the radiant heart of every being. Across all worlds, existence moves through the tension between illumination and shadow. Thoth taught that neither force is enemy nor rival. Both are necessary aspects of the same reality. Light reveals form, while darkness grants it depth. Without one, the other cannot exist. The ancient texts describe creation itself as the breath of these opposites, an endless rhythm in which awareness learns through contrast, finding harmony between them. In the earliest ages, initiates were instructed to walk the middle path, the narrow bridge between extremes. Those who clung only to light became blinded by their own brilliance, losing compassion for the unseen. Those who sank into shadow forgot their origin and mistook separation for truth. Balance was the true mastery, for only a heart steady in equilibrium could hold the full spectrum of existence without being torn apart. Thoth spoke often of those who fell into imbalance, souls who sought to wield light as possession rather than service. Their arrogance distorted its purity, turning illumination into domination. Yet those who feared light and embraced shadow met the same fate, consumed by their own ignorance. Both errors lead away from harmony, which is neither submission nor control, but peaceful awareness of unity. To walk within balance is to understand the purpose of duality. Every trial, every sorrow, every fleeting joy serves growth. Light expands awareness. Darkness deepens it. Together they sculpt the soul. Within this understanding, suffering loses its cruelty and becomes teacher, revealing where the heart has yet to open. Even despair carries seeds of awakening for those who dare to see its hidden gift. In sacred temples of old, initiates were made to spend nights in total darkness before facing dawn. The ritual symbolized rebirth, descent into the unknown followed by emergence into light. Fear transformed into revelation, ignorance into wisdom. When the first ray of sunlight struck their faces, they understood that darkness had never opposed light, but had nurtured it in silence. Ancient carvings often depicted two serpents entwined around a staff, one black and one golden. This symbol represented the current of dual energy flowing through creation, ascending and descending in equal rhythm. When these currents balance within the body and mind, the heart becomes the still center, and the soul awakens as the living pillar between heaven and earth. Thoth warned that imbalance in humanity mirrors imbalance in the cosmos. When greed overcomes compassion, when reason suffocates wonder, the scales tip and harmony trembles. Yet he also revealed that restoration begins within a single person who chooses balance. Each thought of peace, each act of understanding, becomes a spark that realigns the greater whole. Thus, the smallest awareness contributes to cosmic equilibrium. To meditate on both shadow and light is to embrace totality. Darkness hides the mystery, light unveils it. Together they reveal wholeness, teaching that creation is not a battle, but a relationship. Through this realization, the seeker transcends judgment, finding serenity in contrast. Existence becomes art, a painting drawn in equal strokes of radiance and night. Across the desert, beneath the boundless sky, stand the pyramids, silent witnesses to forgotten epochs. Their form has endured beyond kingdoms and storms, their purpose cloaked in mystery. Thoth revealed that they were not monuments of death, but instruments of vibration, designed to preserve and amplify the harmony of the earth. Geometry, sound, and starlight were woven into their design, creating a resonance that linked heaven and stone in one continuous field. Builders of those sacred structures understood the universe as music frozen in form. Angles were chosen not for aesthetics, but for frequency. Every proportion sang a tone. Within their corridors, the air itself vibrated when chants echoed through the chambers. The stones responded like strings of a celestial harp, radiating subtle energy through the sands and sky. Those who entered with pure hearts felt their thoughts sharpen, their bodies lighten, their spirits rise, as though gravity itself had softened. Priests who served within the Great Pyramid used it as a bridge between worlds. They would enter trance states within its heart, aligning their breath to the rhythm of the planet. Above them, shafts aimed toward specific stars, drawing down currents of cosmic energy. Through that connection, they communicated with higher planes of consciousness, recording messages that became the earliest seeds of sacred knowledge. The structure itself was alive, resonating with the frequencies of eternity. Thoth wrote that he oversaw the construction as both architect and initiate, guiding the placement of every block through sound. Stones were lifted not by force but by vibration, a technology lost to modern understanding. Yet he insisted the true secret was spiritual alignment with natural law. When human intention resonates with universal order, matter yields effortlessly to will. The pyramid embodied this principle, a physical reflection of inner mastery. Measurements of the structure encode celestial and mathematical constants, the proportions of the earth, the cycles of time, and the geometry of creation itself. To those who can read its language, the pyramid speaks as the tablets do, revealing how the microcosm mirrors the macrocosm. Its apex points toward the unity of the One, while its base spreads into the four directions of the world, symbolizing the descent of spirit into matter and its eventual return to light. Initiates who meditated within the king's chamber experienced the dissolution of self. Vibrations within the granite walls produced a frequency that entrained the brain and heart into coherence, opening gateways of perception. In that stillness, seekers reported visions of radiant beings, vast fields of energy, and awareness of eternity beyond form. Whether symbolic or literal, these experiences affirmed Thoth's teaching that sacred geometry harmonizes consciousness with cosmic rhythm. For millennia, the pyramids have continued to pulse with subtle power. Travelers who approach them often speak of a feeling of calm or reverence, as if the air vibrates differently there. The structures act as tuning forks for the planet, stabilizing energy and aligning the Earth's magnetic field with the stars. Through their enduring resonance, the wisdom of Atlantis and Egypt continues to whisper across time. Thoth's legacy within those colossal stones remains active, calling humanity to remember the harmony from which all creation arises. Each pyramid stands as a frozen chord in the symphony of existence, reminding those who listen that balance, geometry, and sound are one. And within that union lies the secret of transformation, the power to awaken the same resonance within the soul. Within the teachings of Thoth rests a revelation that has haunted the imagination of humankind for millennia, the mystery of eternal life. Yet Thoth spoke not of endless flesh, not of bodies that defy decay, but of consciousness that transcends form entirely. Immortality, he taught, is not a gift to be claimed, but a remembrance of what was never lost. When the mind awakens to its true nature as light, death dissolves like mist before the morning sun. Life becomes a continuous current flowing through infinite expressions, unbroken by the illusion of time. Ancient initiates seeking this truth journeyed far beyond the limits of fear. They entered the halls of Amenti not to escape mortality, but to comprehend it. Through stillness and surrender, they discovered that awareness cannot perish, for it is not born within the body. The body is born within it. Thoth revealed that this understanding unlocks the doorway of ages and the realization that existence is not linear but circular, and that life, death, and rebirth are merely changes in the rhythm of vibration. He described the secret of eternal life as a science of harmony. When thought, emotion, and spirit resonate perfectly, energy ceases to fragment. Such alignment preserves the soul's coherence beyond the boundaries of form. It is not that the self continues forever as a single identity, but that consciousness remembers its unity with the one source. The personality may fade, yet the essence remains luminous, merging and re-emerging through countless forms. In ancient temples, adepts prepared for this awakening through sacred rest, a trance so deep that heartbeat and breath nearly stopped. Within that stillness, they projected their awareness beyond the physical world, journeying into realms of light. There they learned to maintain identity within the eternal field, mastering the art of return. Through these rites, death became not an enemy, but a threshold, a portal into wider dimensions of existence. Thoth himself was said to have perfected this passage. Legends tell that he could lay down his body at will and take it up again when needed, stepping between worlds like one crossing from sunlight into shade. His consciousness, anchored within the eternal mind, no longer obeyed the laws of decay. Yet he warned that immortality without wisdom is bondage, for only through evolution does infinite life hold meaning. To live forever without awakening would be endless repetition, a cycle without purpose. Eternal life, he taught, must arise through purity of intention. The heart, when aligned with truth, becomes the vessel through which spirit perpetuates itself. Love is the immortal flame, sustaining awareness across lifetimes. Every act of compassion, every thought of creation, strengthens the light body that carries consciousness through eternity. In this way, immortality is not conquest, but flowering, the soul blooming into its cosmic form. Those who glimpse this state describe it not as triumph, but serenity. Fear disappears because there is nothing left to lose. Birth and death become motions of the same dance, breaths of the same being. Energy that once sought survival now turns toward expression, an endless unfolding of beauty. This is the immortality of Thoth's teaching. To live fully, die consciously, and awaken endlessly. When seekers realize this truth, they begin to see eternity not as an endless timeline stretching forward, but as a luminous presence within every moment. Life, seen through that light, reveals itself as eternal now. From this realization, Thoth's wisdom turns once more toward the movement of history itself. How his tablets, hidden and revealed across ages, have continued to guide those who listen. Whispers of emerald wisdom have drifted through centuries like leaves carried by an unseen wind. After Thoth withdrew into realms beyond sight, the tablets were said to have traveled across deserts and oceans, hidden by those who vowed to protect them. Each age, when humanity began to forget, a fragment resurfaced, a line in a manuscript, a symbol carved into stone, a phrase murmured in initiation. The message never vanished. It simply changed form, waiting for minds ready to understand. Guardians entrusted with the tablets understood that knowledge of such magnitude must be concealed within myth. To preserve its purity, they wove it into legends, embedding cosmic truths within stories of gods and heroes. Beneath every tale of resurrection, beneath every image of the sun rising from darkness, the voice of Thoth could still be heard. His words became threads in the fabric of human culture, binding civilizations that had never met. As centuries unfolded, seekers from distant lands followed faint echoes of that voice. Alchemists in Alexandria spoke of a green tablet bearing the secret of creation, while mystics in Arabia called it the Emerald of Hermes. In medieval Europe, Hermetic philosophers guarded translations written in coded Latin, claiming they held the essence of divine wisdom. Scholars debated its origin, yet none could explain how ideas so ancient appeared anew with each era, as though guided by invisible hands. Hidden beneath shifting names, the same principles endured: unity of spirit and matter, transformation through light, and the remembrance of eternal life. Monks inscribed them within illuminated manuscripts, veiling truth beneath allegory. Travelers carried fragments of those writings through burned cities and crumbling empires. Wherever they went, the resonance of the tablets awakened hearts hungry for meaning beyond dogma. Through every period of upheaval, the message adjusted its language but never its rhythm. It survived persecution and skepticism, finding refuge in secret societies, artistic movements, and the quiet devotion of solitary thinkers. Even in times when humanity turned away from spirit, the emerald flame continued to flicker beneath the surface of thought. Ideas of correspondence, vibration, and mental creation, all whispered through the centuries, traced their origin back to that Atlantean current. Thoth's influence became invisible yet omnipresent, like a melody remembered without knowing its composer. His teachings resurfaced through inventions, philosophies, and art, each echoing the same truth in different form, that consciousness shapes reality. Those who rediscovered this principle, whether mystic or scientist, unknowingly carried forward his legacy, reawakening the pattern written into the tablets long ago. Even now, beneath the noise of the modern world, the emerald current flows quietly. It moves through those who seek understanding beyond material limits, through those who feel drawn to symbols whose meaning they cannot explain. This attraction is not coincidence, but memory stirring. The ancient call of Thoth's wisdom vibrating once again within the collective mind. Legends claim the tablets still exist in physical form, sealed beneath desert sands or hidden in a chamber beneath the Great Pyramid. Yet Thoth's writings remind that the true tablets are not stone, but consciousness itself. Every soul carries their inscription within, knowledge engraved not in words, but in vibration. When awareness aligns with truth, those lines illuminate from within, glowing like emerald light across the mind's horizon. As that inner illumination awakens, humanity stands once more at the threshold of understanding. The question then arises, what meaning do these ageless messages hold for a world reborn into chaos and technology, yearning again for wisdom that connects heart and mind? Voices of the past speak softly to a restless world. Across screens and cities filled with motion, the ancient current still hums, offering a quiet reminder that knowledge alone does not awaken, but awareness does. Thoth's teachings, carried through ages of silence, reach into this era not as relics, but as mirrors. They reflect humanity's own longing to return to balance, to rediscover meaning beyond the noise of progress. In the midst of invention and information, the world trembles with both brilliance and confusion. Humanity has achieved mastery over matter, yet struggles to master thought. Thoth's wisdom calls from that distance, reminding that true power lies not in control, but in harmony. Every technology that alters the outer world mirrors a capacity within, to shape reality through consciousness, to create through understanding rather than fear. When viewed through the lens of the tablets, modern life reveals its hidden symbolism. The networks that link continents resemble the invisible web of energy that unites all beings. The light that travels through fiber and sky echoes the same current that Thoth described flowing through the soul. The problem is not the tool, but the hand that wields it, not the machine, but the intention behind it. Awareness must rise to match creation, or imbalance will repeat itself, as it did in Atlantis. The tablets whisper that every thought contributes to the collective vibration of the planet. Anger, greed, and despair weigh upon the field, while compassion and truth refine it. Each person becomes both receiver and transmitter, shaping the resonance of the whole. Thoth's voice asks this generation to remember that the mind is still the builder, that peace on earth begins not in systems, but in consciousness. In times of upheaval, the ancient path remains the same. Stillness before action, awareness before reaction. Meditation, gratitude, and unity of purpose align human energy with cosmic law. When practiced collectively, these acts form a resonance strong enough to recalibrate reality. The emerald tablets do not demand belief, they invite experience. Their message is not doctrine, but practice, a way of remembering the divine rhythm that sustains life. Science begins to echo these truths in its own language, revealing energy fields, quantum entanglement, and the power of observation. The boundaries between spirituality and physics blur, confirming what Thoth knew. Consciousness participates in creation. Each discovery brings humanity closer to understanding that thought is not confined within the brain, but woven into the fabric of existence. As awareness expands, compassion naturally follows. When one sees that all life shares the same luminous source, division becomes illusion. The teachings of the tablets return precisely for this reason, to remind humanity that it stands once more at the crossroads between harmony and destruction. The choice remains the same as in every age: unity through wisdom or collapse through ignorance. To live by the messages of the Emerald Tablets in this era means to bring stillness into movement, light into decision, and love into creation. It means to awaken the inner sun within and reflect it outward into the world. As more souls remember, the collective frequency shifts and the ancient prophecy stirs, that when humanity is ready, Thoth shall return, not as a figure from myth, but as consciousness reborn within every awakened heart. Across the cycles of ages, through the rise and fall of empires, the voice of Thoth has never been truly silent. Though temples turned to dust and languages faded into wind, his presence endured as a pulse within human memory. He promised that when humanity was ready to remember its origin, when the veil of forgetfulness grew thin enough for light to pass through, he would return not in a body of flesh, but as consciousness awakened within countless hearts. The return of Thoth is not a prophecy of footsteps upon sand, but the rebirth of wisdom itself. In quiet moments, when thought slows and breath deepens, many feel a stirring that cannot be named, a sense of recognition, as though something ancient within them is waking. That quiet awareness is the return. It arrives through intuition, through sudden clarity, through acts of compassion that rise unbidden. It manifests wherever knowledge unites with kindness, wherever understanding blossoms without judgment. Humanity itself becomes the vessel of his reappearance, each awakened mind a spark of the eternal scribe's flame. Legends foretell that the emerald light will shine again when truth outweighs illusion, and when humanity learns to see not with the eyes, but with the soul. Evidence of this awakening can already be felt in the growing hunger for meaning, the search for balance beyond division, the recognition that all life is interwoven. Thoth's wisdom moves through this current, invisible yet unmistakable, guiding humanity toward remembrance of its true power: creation through consciousness, peace through understanding. The Emerald Tablets were never meant to remain hidden. Their words are not relics, but living frequencies, designed to awaken the same vibration within those who listen deeply. Each phrase, each rhythm, carries the signature of higher awareness. When heard with an open heart, they activate memory, not of the past, but of what has always been. Thoth's promise of return was, in truth, a reminder that he never left, for his consciousness lives in every act of awakening. This age, with its storms of change and flashes of brilliance, stands as the mirror of Atlantis, a world balanced on the edge of transformation. Yet this time, the choice is clearer and the knowledge wider. Humanity holds in its hands both the power to destroy and the power to illuminate. Thoth's return manifests through that choice, through every individual who chooses harmony over fear, wisdom over dominance, awareness over distraction. His message echoes now as it did before the flood. Remember who you are, for you are creators within creation. Those who attune to this truth begin to perceive guidance in the smallest moments, in synchronicities, in dreams, in the quiet pull toward compassion. These are not coincidences, but signals from the same intelligence that once carved wisdom into green stone. When enough hearts resonate with this current, the veil between dimensions thins, and humanity steps once again into the light it once knew. The return is not future. It is awakening now. Through remembrance of the inner sun, through balance of darkness and light, through harmony with the living cosmos, the spirit of Thoth breathes again in this world. It speaks through the collective voice of those who seek truth, those who create beauty, those who heal through love. The emerald radiance rises once more within humanity, not as legend but as living experience. The cycle turns and the dawn approaches where spirit and matter reunite in luminous accord. From Atlantis to Egypt, from stone to thought, from myth to awakening, the journey of the emerald tablets leads here to this moment of recognition, where you, the listener, become part of the story. For the true message of Thoth has always been that every soul carries the key, every mind the tablet, every heart the light. The return is not awaited, it is remembered. As the echoes of Thoth's words fade into the stillness, a gentle truth remains. The story never truly ends because it lives within you. The tablets, the pyramids, the temples, all were reflections of an inner mystery now awakening across the human heart. To listen to this story is to remember your own. If this journey through the ages stirred something within, if the emerald light flickered even for a moment in your imagination, let that feeling guide you further. Continue exploring, questioning, remembering. Share these ideas, allow them to ripple outward, and let others hear the whispers of the green stone that once spoke to civilizations long forgotten. Support this exploration of ancient wisdom and mystery. Subscribe to the channel to stay connected to future journeys through history, myth, and hidden knowledge. Like the film if it resonated with you, leave a comment with your reflections or questions. Your voice adds to the living conversation of seekers across the world. Share this story with those close to you, with friends, family, or anyone who might feel the call of the timeless. As you carry the light of this tale into your own life, remember that every moment holds the potential for awakening. The emerald tablets still whisper through silence, through intuition, through the quiet rhythm of your own heart. Listen, and the wisdom of Thoth will continue to shine, guiding you through the mystery of existence, from darkness to light, from forgetting to remembrance, from illusion to truth.